There was a middle-aged commoner that suddenly finds himself reincarnated into the body of a young noble from a house teetering on the brink of collapse, and with no choice but to adapt, he must work tirelessly to save his new family from ruin. It all begins when this unsuspecting man opens his eyes for the first time in the body of Liam Hamilton, a young noble. As he sits at the dinner table during a lavish party, he's utterly bewildered, unable to comprehend how he ended up there when he was just sipping on an energy drink at a bar after a long day at work. Looking around, he stumbles upon a mirror and is horrified to see a child's face staring back at him. The realization strikes like lightning, and he lets out an ear-piercing scream, drawing the attention of everyone in the room, including his stern father, the head of the Hamilton family. Mr. Hamilton, visibly annoyed and embarrassed by Liam's outburst, chastises him harshly. He reminds Liam that despite being the fifth son and the least significant among his siblings, he is still a member of the esteemed Hamilton family and must act with the dignity of a noble at all times. Liam remains silent, utterly lost and clueless about the man berating him and the bizarre situation he's in. The maid beside him, mistaking his confusion for sadness over his father's scolding, tries to comfort him. She remarks that he should be grateful his father is in a good mood today because on another day, things could have been much worse. She then casually mentions the reason for the Count's rare cheer. He finally has a daughter after being blessed with a string of sons, and this party is a celebration of her birthday. As the pieces start falling into place, Liam slowly begins to understand that he has somehow been thrust into the role of a noble's son. Assuming it's just an incredibly vivid and peculiar dream, he resolves to sleep it off, confident he'll wake up back in his old life. But when morning comes, he wakes up in the same child's body. So the realization hits him that this isn't a dream, this is his new reality. Liam has no clue why he's been thrust into this bizarre situation, but with no other choice, he begins to accept his new reality and decides to go along with it. Dressing in the fine clothes of the young noble boy he now inhabits, Liam sets out to explore his surroundings. First on his agenda is checking out the balcony for a better view of the Hamilton estate, and as he steps onto the balcony, he is amazed by the vast expanse of land surrounding the mansion, which the maid proudly informs him all belong to the Hamilton family. While Liam is still figuring out how to adjust to this strange life, his older brother Bruno summons him for a serious conversation about their newborn sister. This is Bruno, the fourth son of the Hamilton family, and he seems to already have grand plans for their baby sister's future. He confidently declares that she must grow up to be beautiful so that she can marry into the royal family, a move he believes is the only way to secure the Hamilton family's future. Bruno then goes on to explain the dire situation the family faces. The Hamiltons are teetering on the brink of losing their noble status, having failed to achieve anything noteworthy for 3 generations. Their father, the current head of the family, represents the 3rd generation, and once he retires, leadership will pass to one of the 4th generation children. Bruno is convinced they won't achieve anything significant by then, which would result in the Hamiltons being demoted to commoners. Determined to prevent this, Bruno sees their sister's potential marriage as a golden opportunity to save their legacy. Despite being only 13, a mere year older than Liam, Bruno carries himself with a maturity far beyond his age, and he encourages Liam to start thinking about the family's future as well. Then their conversation is cut short when their tutor enters the room to begin a lesson on the basics of magic. Upon learning that he's about to study magic, Liam can barely contain his excitement. He leaps from his seat, drawing a mix of embarrassment and confusion from Bruno, who is taken aback by his brother's enthusiasm. Trying to temper Liam's expectations, Bruno warns him that only 1 in 100 people possesses the natural talent required to excel at magic, making the odds of success slim. However, Liam remains determined because he never had this chance in his past life, so he focuses intently, eager to learn. After class, Liam rushes to the maid, insisting she take him to the library. Following her lead, he eagerly begins searching for books on magic. His eyes land on a book titled Novice Fire Magic. Without hesitation, he flips through its pages and follows the steps for casting a basic fire spell. Concentrating, he manages to ignite a small flame on his index finger. The maid, wide-eyed with amazement, praises the young master for his ability to cast fire magic on his first try. Eager to expand his knowledge, Liam visits his father's office to request access to grimoires, spell books from the library. His father, barely glancing up from his work, dismissively grants permission, showing little interest in his 5th son's pursuits. But with his father's approval, Liam wastes no time gathering books and immersing himself in their contents, and before long he masters a fire spell called Flame Cutter. And with just 1 month of rigorous practice, Liam successfully masters the Flame Cutter spell without using a grimoire. Proud of his progress, he shows off his newfound skill to Bruno, who is stunned that his younger brother learned the spell so quickly on his own. Feeling a surge of sibling rivalry, Bruno grabs Liam's grimoire, determined to uncover a shortcut to match Liam's skill, but his attempts don't bear fruit. Realizing the truth, Bruno admits that Liam's affinity for magic is remarkable, so he encourages his younger brother to continue his studies, predicting that Liam's talent will bring him fame and status. However, Bruno also notes that Liam's growing brilliance might overshadow the rest of the Hamilton family, and he curiously asks if Liam's dedication is part of a plan to become the next head of the household. But Liam reassures him, explaining that he studies magic simply as a hobby and has no intention of competing for the throne, especially not against their eldest brother Albrecht. After that, Liam continues his magical journey, mastering every novice fire spell in the book, so he sets his sights on the next target, the novice ice spells. Liam's father then approaches him, having heard the buzz about his newfound magic abilities. Finally seeing some potential in his fifth son, Mr. Hamilton decides to take an interest, though with a hefty dose of skepticism. He then skeptically asks Liam to show his abilities, and Liam responds by freezing a book using his new ice magic. Mr. Hamilton is unimpressed and dismissively asks if that's the best Liam can do. But Liam explains that he's just started learning ice magic, and to prove himself further, he reveals that he mastered every novice fire spell in just 1 month. This revelation changes everything because Mr. Hamilton's stern demeanor melts into laughter, declaring that the heavens must finally be smiling on the Hamilton family. He encourages Liam to continue his studies, assuring him that more grimoires will be provided if needed. And for the first time, Liam feels genuinely supported by his father, and the encouragement ignites a stronger desire to grow his abilities. Later, as Liam heads to the woods to train, he notices one of the butlers whispering to his father about some bad news. Unaware of the situation, Liam continues to the forest, where he encounters a man in a white coat resting under a tree. The man casually asks if Liam is one of the Hamilton sons, and when Liam confirms, the man cryptically tells him to capture him. But when he sees Liam doesn't know what the hell he is talking about, he immediately dismisses his own comment. Changing the subject, the man inquires about Liam's grimoire, and when he learns that Liam is practicing novice magic, he offers to teach him something more advanced, and he immediately casts 5 different spells at once. Liam gets intrigued and eagerly accepts, and the man, impressed by Liam's lack of typical noble arrogance, agrees to teach him some tricks. He then starts with simultaneous spell casting, guiding Liam on how to create magic circles with both hands. Liam then manages to cast fire spells from each hand, and the man pushes him further, introducing the concept of casting 3 magic circles at once. But while Liam masters the technique, his magical reserves fall short of sustaining the spell. But despite this, the man is awestruck by Liam's raw talent and casually mentions his own ability to cast up to 16 spells simultaneously. But unfortunately, the man's time is limited, and he regrets not being able to teach Liam more. And as a parting gift, he hands Liam a ring, calling it Magicpedia, an artifact containing the knowledge of hundreds of grimoires worth of magic. Then as Liam slips the ring onto his finger, a flood of magical knowledge invades his mind, filling his thoughts with hundreds of spells he can now learn at will. Excited by this newfound power, Liam quickly masters a wind attack spell. But when he uses it, the mysterious man who had been teaching him vanishes into thin air, leaving Liam thoroughly perplexed. And moments later, his mate appears, scolding Liam for wandering alone in such a dangerous place, and warns him that a suspicious individual has infiltrated the estate. She then hands him a book on novice summoning magic, a gift from Mr. Hamilton, and heads back toward the house. But before Liam can fully process this, the enigmatic man suddenly reappears. He reveals that he had merely concealed himself to avoid being seen by the maid, subtly hinting at the danger he might pose. With limited time left, the man offers to teach Liam one final spell. He then asks Liam to pick a spell from the summoning magic book. And after some thought, Liam selects a spell to summon a salamander, a low-level fire spirit. Following the man's guidance, Liam uses the ring to cast the spell. The summoning is successful. The salamander is immediately absorbed into the ring. The man then explains that the ring functions as a limitless archive, recording every detail of the salamander's summoning process. Astonished by the ring's utility, Liam offers to return it, assuming it must be of great value. However, the man downplays its significance, describing it as a tool that simply spares the user from lugging around heavy grimoires. Relieved, Liam continues experimenting with summoning spells from the grimoire. But when he turns to seek the man's approval, he discovers that his mentor has disappeared yet again. But this time, the only trace left behind is a message scrawled on the ground, urging Liam to keep studying magic and to never reveal their encounter to anyone. The other time together was brief. Liam considers the man his master and feels immense gratitude for his wisdom. A month later, Liam has mastered an impressive arsenal of attack and summoning spells. Then he combines his skills to create a functional furnace, using it to produce white charcoal. One day, Bruno pays Liam a visit and is astounded to find that Liam has already amassed a sizable supply of white charcoal, and even a bag of icro crystals, powerful items used to restore magical energy. Liam then proudly explains that he crafted the crystals himself by harnessing 5 types of magic simultaneously, a feat that highlights his exceptional skills. Bruno, impressed by his younger brother's progress, expresses his pride and shares his plans for the future. And he announces his intention to marry into a low-ranking noble family to gain independence from the Hamilton household. Bruno then elaborates on the importance of independence by sharing a somber chapter from their family's history. He then reveals that in a desperate attempt to salvage their noble status, their father once sent a large battalion to fight a sealed monster in a distant land. The campaign ended in a devastating defeat, with only a handful of soldiers surviving. But despite this failure, Mr. Hamilton and their eldest brother remain relentless in their pursuit to preserve the family's position, even if it means resorting to drastic measures. Fearing Liam might be drawn into these schemes, Bruno encourages him to also seek independence. Taking Bruno's advice seriously, Liam embarks on his quest for financial independence. He then sells his white charcoal, earning a hefty pouch of gold coins, and treats himself to a delicious bowl of ramen at a local eatery. Inspired by the meal, he decides to introduce ramen culture to the Hamilton household. And by using an ice spirit, he dehydrates noodles to create instant ramen and teaches the family chef how to prepare it. Confident that this product could become a profitable business, Liam presents his idea to a local trader. However, the trader declines, explaining that only the Hamilton family's eldest son, Albrecht, has the authority to conduct business on behalf of the household. Frustrated but undeterred, Liam leaves the shop, unaware that Albrecht has been eavesdropping on his conversation. Consumed by jealousy over Liam's growing skills and ambitions, Albrecht steps forward and declares that he will no longer allow Liam to act freely. Liam, however, returns home and remains motivated to pursue his goals. He then stores his creations in a dimensional storage system he crafted using a spell from the ring. And to circumvent Albrecht's control, Liam devises a clever plan and uses an unconventional summoning spell to create a clone of himself, tasking it with traveling to the far lands to sell his goods while he stays behind to produce more. A few days later, Liam receives a payment from the items his clone sold, deposited directly into his dimensional storage system. So he overjoyedly celebrates the success of his plan, knowing that his journey toward independence has officially begun. The next day, Liam arrives at the Hunters Guild after being advised by his eldest brother Albrecht. Upon entering, he notes that the guild looks just as chaotic and lively as he heard. The moment he steps in, the eyes of seasoned hunters turn toward him, their expressions laced with curiosity and skepticism. One grizzled hunter even jeers, asking if Liam has come to run errands for his mummy. Liam, unfazed by the taunts of these dusty has-beens, walks straight toward a fierce-looking man who he assumes must be the guild master. Liam's intuition is correct because the man introduces himself and immediately recognizes him as Liam Hamilton, confirming that Albrecht had informed him of his arrival. But before proceeding further, the guild master explains that Liam must undergo a test to determine his appropriate class, and he assures Liam that this is standard procedure, as it prevents inexperienced hunters from being placed in ranks they can't handle. And Liam agrees without hesitation, ready to prove himself. To begin the test, the guild master instructs Liam to cast an attack spell, suggesting that he take his time with the incantation. Liam confusedly asks what an incantation is, and the guild master chuckles at what he thinks is a joke, but quickly realizes Liam is serious. Taking it up a notch, the guild master tells Liam to attack him directly and not hold back. Liam decides to give it his all, knowing this test will determine his placement. And with precision and raw power, he fires multiple blasts around the guild master's head, leaving the man wide-eyed in disbelief. The surrounding hunters are equally stunned, rendered speechless by the sheer intensity of Liam's magic. And despite the shock, the guildmaster keeps his composure and decides to assign Liam a B rank, acknowledging his impressive abilities. Liam, however, remains stoic, giving no indication of whether he's satisfied or not. As Liam steps out of the guild, he examines his new B rank tag, unsure how to feel about it. While he's lost in thought, a charming girl with striking features approaches him. Introducing herself as Asuna, she comments on how dangerous it can be to hunt alone and proposes forming a party. Taken aback by her beauty, Liam is never one to miss an opportunity and enthusiastically agrees, and they then shake hands to seal the deal and set off together. While walking together, Liam reminds Asuna that they didn't take any hunting jobs from the guild, so she explains that hunting jobs are only assigned to A-ranked hunters and above. B-ranked hunters like them must find dangerous monsters on their own, kill them, and bring them back to the guild for a reward. As they continue, the two are suddenly ambushed by a pack of monstrous werewolves. With no way to escape, Asuna nearly loses her cool, but regains her confidence when Liam uses his magic to place self-growing monsters inside the wolves' mouths. This clever tactic leaves the werewolves incapacitated and exhausted, allowing Asuna to deliver the finishing blows. After defeating all the wolves, they haul their kills back to the guild. Their performance leaves the other hunters stunned, highlighting their own inadequacy. Even the guildmaster is impressed, especially since the duo managed to take down 42 wolves on their own. Recognizing their potential, he offers them an actual hunting job. The mission involves hunting a large caterpillar monster that could disrupt the arrival of an important guest in town later that day. And while Asuna is elated to have their first real assignment, Liam focuses on the challenge of fighting monsters infused with magic stones, which make them much tougher than ordinary beasts. Then when they encounter the caterpillar monster, things go south quickly. And despite their efforts, nothing seems to work, leaving both of them exhausted. Even Liam tries every spell in his arsenal, but nothing seems effective against the creature, leaving him frustrated and feeling powerless. Asuna, discouraged by the difficulty of their first job, jokes about a meteor falling on the monster to end their misery. Inspired by her comment, Liam devises a plan to finish the creature for good. Then we see that by using Asuna as bait, he lures the monster to a deserted area and summons his item box to drop a massive boulder on it. The plan works perfectly, and they end up using the same tactic to take down a second caterpillar monster, and then they return to the guild with both monsters in tow. And their success leaves the guildmaster and other hunters dumbfounded yet again, to a degree that makes the guildmaster marvel how they managed to defeat two such formidable creatures in such a short time. And while the other hunters remain baffled by how Liam and Asuna managed to take down such formidable monsters, Asuna, ever the opportunist, tries to persuade the guildmaster to increase their reward. And she points out that without their intervention in defeating the second caterpillar monster, the important visitor could have faced serious trouble. Acknowledging the weight of her argument, the guildmaster agrees and offers to multiply their original reward by 5. And that makes Asuna beam with satisfaction, but Liam, as usual, remains indifferent. Later that day, the town gathers to await the arrival of the important visitor. And while standing among the crowd, Liam is approached by his elder brother Albrecht, who commends him for his recent successes at the guild. Albrecht then urges him to continue his hard work before leaving, but Asuna, observing the interaction, immediately labels him as rude. Liam agrees, noting that Albrecht has always seen him as nothing more than a nuisance. Still, their conversation is cut short as the important visitor arrives. And as the visitor makes his way through the crowd, he briefly locks eyes with Liam and Asuna, leaving her starstruck by his commanding presence. Later, Liam is formally introduced to the visitor, who reveals himself to be James Stanley. During their conversation, James comments on Liam's accomplishments and mentions that he is familiar with Liam's father. Shifting the topic, James inquires about the ring Liam possesses, claiming it once belonged to someone he knows named Raymond. Startled, Liam realizes James is referring to his master. James initially jokes that Liam might have killed Raymond to take the ring, but when Liam clarifies that Raymond was his teacher, James' demeanor softens. They then exchange stories about Liam's time as Raymond's student, and James finds the anecdotes amusing. Intrigued by Liam's potential, James decides to test the power of a student trained by Raymond. He then asks an acquaintance called Simon to shield himself from Liam's strongest attack. Normally, Liam doesn't bother with incantations, but he recalls reading that chanting can amplify a spell's power. With that in mind, he uses the names of his 3 favorite singers as a makeshift incantation and launches magic missiles at Simon. At first, Simon's magic barrier seems to hold steady, but the relentless missiles ultimately break through, knocking him unconscious. Witnessing this display, James is thoroughly impressed with Liam's capabilities, and as a reward, he offers Liam the title of a knight, granting him the independence he has long desired from his family. Later that day, James keeps his word and officially knights Liam, hoping this new status will help him step out from the shadow of his brothers and carve his own path. After the ceremony, James grows curious about Liam's time under Raymond's tutelage. Knowing Raymond's mischievous nature, he asks if Liam ever fell victim to his master's pranks. The question triggers a vivid memory for Liam and recalls the time Raymond gifted him 100 kilograms of gold dust as a graduation present, only to mix it with water in a lake and task Liam with perfecting the item box skill before he could access it. What seemed like a generous gift was in fact a cleverly disguised graduation test. Hearing this, James quickly deduces that the gold dust was a mere distraction, and the true gift was likely hidden nearby, though not in plain sight. Determined to uncover the truth, Liam revisits the lake. Using his item box, he drains all the water from it, revealing a barren lake bed. As he wanders the dry expanse, he ponders his master's cryptic instructions. After some thought, Liam devises a plan. He carefully separates the gold dust from the lake bed and returns it to the now dry lake. The moment he completes this task, a hidden door reveals itself, leading him to an underground chamber beneath the lake. Descending the stairs, Liam discovers a letter and an ancient book waiting for him. The letter explains that the book, a maximum-level grimoire, is his true graduation gift. Liam then excitedly picks up the book and realizes it contains the power to access an entirely new world. Intrigued by the potential of this mysterious power, he dedicates hours to practicing its spells. But despite initial failures, he persists, and after multiple attempts, he finally succeeds in casting a spell that conjures a massive mirror. Stepping through the mirror, Liam finds himself in an alternate dimension, an expansive space entirely separate from the spellcaster's world. And he also learns that this space would grow in proportion to the caster's power, and Liam marvels at its capabilities. And also knew that unlike the item box, this space could house not just objects but even people, opening a realm of endless possibilities. Overwhelmed with gratitude, Liam silently thanks Raymond for leaving him with such a powerful gift. A month later, Liam and Asuna find themselves battling a massive frog monster. Liam attempts to use fire salamanders against it, but the attack proves completely ineffective. Instead, the attack enrages the frog, which prepares to unleash a devastating lightning blast. Sensing the impending danger, Liam activates his otherworldly powers, pulling Asuna into his alternate space to shield them both from the frog's deadly strike. The frog eventually collapses from exhaustion, giving Asuna the opportunity to deliver the finishing blow. They retrieve the frog's magic stone and bring it back to the guild. The guildmaster is astonished that they managed to complete the A-ranked mission, although he gives Liam most of the credit, dismissing Asuna's role. This irritates her, but she brushes it off, choosing instead to focus on her desire to grow stronger and match Liam's abilities. Seizing the moment, the guildmaster suggests that Asuna become Liam's familiar, explaining that this bond would align her powers with his and significantly boost her abilities. Asuna is overjoyed at the idea and immediately agrees, despite one caveat: as his familiar, she would be unable to refuse his commands. But she jokingly adds that she doesn't mind even if Liam decides to be sneaky with her, making the situation both awkward and amusing. And with no objections from either party, Liam agrees to the arrangement. The guildmaster then performs the ritual, requiring Asuna to kiss the back of Liam's hand. And as soon as the bond is formed, Asuna's power surges. She gains a unique ability that allows her to move at superhuman speed, almost like the Flash. But while impressed by her newfound strength, Liam remains skeptical about the familiar contract's effectiveness in boosting abilities so quickly. So to test his doubts, he decides to try it with someone else. Asuna then recommends a woman she knows named Jody. And when Liam makes Jody his familiar, the transformation is equally surprising because Jody suddenly appears younger and gains the ability to heal others through her cooking. Days later, James summons Liam to his mansion with news about the arrival of Princess Scarlet. He commends Liam for his remarkable achievements since arriving in town, explaining that these accomplishments have captured the princess's attention. James then goes on to reveal that the princess is eager to see Liam's familiars in action and observe their unique abilities. However, Liam refuses outright, explaining that it would be an insult to his familiars, who are his trusted friends, not some sideshow performers. After he says this, James respects his decision and lets him go without further insistence. Unbeknownst to Liam, Princess Scarlet is actually disguised as this maid and overhears the entire exchange. Amused and intrigued, she confidently assumes that Liam wouldn't have the courage to refuse her if confronted directly. The next day, Liam is summoned to meet Princess Scarlet, but this time she isn't in disguise, and her full royal presence leaves no doubt about her authority, so Liam knows he'll have to be careful with his words. Entering the Grand Palace, he kneels before her, offering the respect her status demands. But Scarlet, uninterested in formalities, orders a seat to be brought for him. She wasted no time mentioning how she's heard about his feats, defeating an armored caterpillar and, more impressively, a giant frog. She's especially amazed he managed to kill a frog without using high-level magic, a feat no one else has ever accomplished. Still, her real interest lies in his familiars, and she asks him to show her their abilities. Liam quickly realizes that Scarlet is using her authority to make him comply, but he's not about to cave. Politely but firmly, he refuses her request. Scarlet's eyes narrow slightly as she asks if he truly means to defy a direct order from a noble. Yet Liam stands firm, no matter the consequences, adamant about not turning his companions into a mere spectacle for her entertainment. Expecting anger or even punishment, Liam is instead taken aback when Scarlet suddenly bursts out laughing. She finds his unwavering principles amusing and refreshing. He's the first person she's met who values his morals over the demands of authority, and that's something she can't help but respect. So she is pleased and decides to reward him on the spot, and without hesitation, Scarlet declares that Liam will be granted the title of Baron. Liam is utterly shocked, insisting he hasn't done anything to earn such an honor. But Scarlet, having taken a liking to him, brushes aside his protests and says that she's the damn princess, and she can do whatever she pleases, and she also points out that this title will ensure his family retains their status and security. But her generosity doesn't end there. With a regal flourish, she presents him with a familiar's contract grimoire. While the title leaves him in disbelief, the grimoire fills him with uncontainable excitement. Thanking Scarlet profusely, Liam leaves the palace with a spring in his step, eager to unlock the secrets of his new gift. A little while later, Liam is sitting in the forest, reading through the grimoire. He finds the spells inside fairly easy to use, but he knows that until he masters the book, his contracts won't be permanent. As he's practicing, he suddenly notices Bruno walking toward him. Liam is surprised because Bruno got married and left home a while ago, so he asks Bruno why he's here, but Bruno doesn't have a real reason. He just wanted to visit and hang out with his little brother, mainly to congratulate Liam in person for becoming a baron, which he says is a huge accomplishment. Bruno even jokes that Liam now outranks their father, but Liam doesn't understand what he means because their father is a count, and he's only a baron. Bruno then explains that while barons are generally lower in rank than counts, this country divides nobles into two categories: those who inherit their titles and those who earn them through accomplishments, so naturally nobles who earn their titles are considered more impressive. Liam didn't know this, but even after hearing it, he doesn't really care because his only focus is learning more magic. Later, as Liam walks through the palace halls, he comes across Albrecht and greets him, but Albrecht completely ignores him, so Liam is left confused, wondering why Albrecht seems so upset. At the same time, Albrecht is furious because he can't stand the idea that his damn younger brother is somehow overshadowing him. Then while walking, he overhears two maids talking about Liam's achievements, and their praise for Liam only fuels his anger. He storms over to them, yelling that if they think Liam is so great, they should quit and go work for him instead. The maids quickly realize Albrecht is jealous of Liam, so they apologize and try to calm him down. But Albrecht doesn't stop there. He asks if they really believe Liam is more important than him. The maids, eager to keep their jobs, nervously assure him that he is of course better than Liam. Feeling slightly appeased but still angry, Albrecht walks away, determined to prove that he is the better brother, and he swears that he will accomplish something to show everyone that he deserves more recognition than Liam. The next day, Liam meets up with Asuna and Jody in town. The three of them quickly become the center of attention, mostly because Jody and Asuna are undeniably gorgeous. As a result, every guy in the crowd is glaring at Liam like he's the luckiest and most hated guy in the world. Ignoring the stares, Liam suggests they officially form a party. He makes it clear, though, that he won't pressure them into anything they don't want to do. But thankfully, neither Asuna nor Jody have any objections, so they agree to team up. Later that day, the newly formed party heads into the forest on a mission. And during the mission, Jody takes aim with her bow and lands a perfect shot, hitting a wolf in the neck. As the wolf stumbles, Asuna rushes in and finishes it off with a clean strike from her sword. Liam, impressed by Asuna's speed, compliments her, noting how much faster she's become since becoming his familiar. Jody chimes in, pointing out that her eyesight has improved significantly since the contract reverted her to her younger self, and she jokes that she no longer has old lady vision. Liam then curiously asks if having better eyesight is always a good thing, and Jody assures him it is, especially since she's an archer. Taking that as a cue, Liam raises his hand and casts an enhancement spell on Jody's eyes, boosting her vision even further. And now she can see way beyond what was possible before. Asuna then intriguedly asks Liam what he just did. Liam explains that it was a basic enhancement spell to improve Jody's vision, so she gets excited and immediately asks him to cast a similar spell on her. Liam hesitates though, explaining that while he could enhance her combat abilities, the risk isn't worth it, because enhanced strength could put too much strain on her body, potentially causing serious injuries like broken bones, but spells like vision enhancement are safe and effective. Thanks to the spell, Jody can now snipe targets from an incredible distance, and she's beyond grateful to Liam for the upgrade. After a productive day of hunting, the group returns to the guild, but they are greeted by chaos. The guild is in complete disarray, and when they ask what happened, they're told that Albrecht caused a massive problem by breaking the forest seal. So Liam immediately pieces things together. Albrecht, who is consumed by jealousy, must have tried to defeat the monster sealed in the forest in an attempt to prove himself. Realizing the seriousness of the situation and feeling partly responsible for pushing Albrecht to such reckless actions, Liam wastes no time and bolts out straight for the forest, determined to assess the damage. Liam and the others soon arrive at the spot, and it's so much worse than they could have imagined. A lot of soldiers are badly injured and many more are already in hell, and that shit makes Liam is absolutely horrified. He then spots Albrecht lying on the ground injured, so he quickly runs over to him. But as soon as Albrecht sees him, he jumps up in a frenzy, yelling that he hasn't failed yet. But just then, the guild master steps in with a stick and whacks Albrecht over his damn head, muttering that the situation is already chaotic enough without a crazy, insecure noble running around making it worse. Then once Albrecht is taken away, the guild master approaches Liam and tells him he's glad he came. Asuna then asks what hell is going on, so the guild master explains that the dragon fiend Raiden was once sealed in these woods by Liam's great-grandfather. But the freaking Albrecht broke the damn seal in a failed attempt to defeat Raiden, and now the beast is loose. The Guildmaster says they know how to reveal Raiden, and he's already gathered the people needed to do it, but the real damn problem is Raiden's children. And those little Radons are the ones causing all the destruction so far, and also if they can cause this much damage, it's terrifying to think about what the real Raiden might do once he regains his strength. But luckily, the big Raiden has been sealed for so long that it will take about a week for him to recover enough to attack. So if they can reveal him before then, they can avoid disaster. Liam is determined to help, so he races to Raiden's location and finds him guarded by his 3 little Radons. The little Radons aren't that big, so Asuna decides to take her chances and charges in for an attack. But before she can strike, one of the little Radons fires a massive fireball at her. She barely dodges, but the tree behind her is completely vaporized. Liam then tries to use his magic missiles to attack the little Radons, but they counter with fireballs, canceling out his spell. Realizing his strongest attack isn't enough, Liam starts to feel stuck, but then he remembers he has one last trick he can try. Liam then tells Asuma to take Jody and run. Though they hesitate, they listen and retreat. The little Radons then charge straight at Liam, but just before they reach him, he opens his another world gate, creating a portal. The little Radons, unable to stop in time, fall into the gate and are trapped inside another dimension. The Guildmaster is stunned that Liam managed to defeat all 3 of the little Radons by himself, but Liam, equally surprised, admits it was a close call. Now that the little Radons are no longer a threat, the Guildmaster calls for everyone to begin the process of sealing Raiden once again. As the preparations commence, Asuna and Joby return to Liam's side, and he's relieved to see that they're unharmed. They ask about the spell he used to handle the little Radons, and Liam explains that it's a dimensional spell that creates a separate space. And also they won't be coming back again, because at his current level, anything trapped inside his dimensional spell gets erased when the gate closes. Just as Liam finishes explaining, a voice echoes in his mind, and in the blink of an eye, he is pulled into Raiden's consciousness. Inside the dragon's mind, Raiden greets him, addressing him as a human with an immense soul, and demands to know who he truly is. Liam is confused, replying that he's just an ordinary human, but Raiden clearly doesn't believe him. The dragon notes that Liam's soul and body don't align, which only deepens the mystery. Realizing what Raiden might mean, Liam recalls his reincarnation into the body of Liam Hamilton and wonders if Raiden knows anything about it. However, Raiden has no answers, and what he does know is that Liam's life is bound to be extraordinary, and he makes a surprising proposal. Raiden offers to accompany Liam, promising to bring no harm to him or anyone around him. Instead, he pledges to help Liam grow and refine his skills. Liam doesn't sense any hostility from Raiden, and intrigued by the offer, agrees to the deal. Then in an instant, Raiden's body begins to dissolve, and his essence is absorbed into Liam's soul, leaving behind a glowing dragon-shaped mark on Liam's hand. Liam immediately feels a surge of power coursing through him. To test it, he fires a magic missile into the sky, and is shocked when he successfully controls and launches 17 spells simultaneously, so it's clear that Raiden's power has dramatically enhanced his abilities. However, the newfound power comes with unintended consequences. The dense mana emanating from Liam's body causes everyone nearby to experience severe headaches. Liam then notices everyone around him struggling and quickly realizes his uncontrolled mana is to blame, so he suppresses it immediately and apologizes for his carelessness. And to show his sincerity, he offers the Guildmaster 10 kilograms of gold dust and suggests using it to cover the treatment costs for those injured in the battle. Later that evening, Liam meets with his father, who expresses heartfelt gratitude. Liam's actions not only prevented disaster but also mitigated the damage caused by Albrecht's recklessness. His father also mentions that James is still in town, so word of Liam's accomplishments is likely to reach the royal capital soon. That night, Liam goes to bed exhausted, but he wakes up the next morning with a surprise, and it's 2 new spells have appeared in his mind, so he excitedly rushes outside to test them. After several hours of trial and error, he successfully casts 1 spell, summoning a little Raiden. He then discovers that it's not yet combat ready, but with more practice, Liam plans to make it useful in battle, so it's now more like a cute pet. Then as Liam plays with the little Raiden, Princess Scarlet approaches unnoticed. Catching sight of him using magic, she recognizes it immediately as holy magic. Though she already knew Liam was talented, the revelation that he can wield holy magic at his age leaves her stunned. However, that's not why Scarlet is here. Scarlet has come to deliver Liam's reward for defeating the Dragon Fiend. While she had hoped to grant him a higher noble title, the other nobles objected to a landless child being promoted so quickly, but instead she awards him the Order of the Phoenix, 3rd class. Then before leaving, she asks Liam to explain exactly how he defeated the dragon, as she may need to declare him a national hero depending on the details. But Scarlet gets horrified when Liam admits to absorbing the Dragon Fiend. She momentarily doubts everything she thought about him, but then remembers seeing him use holy magic, which complicates her judgment. But then ultimately she warns Liam to keep the truth about Raiden a strict secret. The next day, a chest containing 3,000 gold coins arrives as hush money. Liam is baffled by Scarlett's insistence on secrecy, but decides to go along with it, unsure of why this revelation is so damn dangerous. Later, Count James summons Liam to his mansion for a conversation and eagerly inquires if it's true that he has learned to use holy magic. However, Liam is stuck in a dilemma. He can't reveal the truth due to his promise to Princess Scarlett, leaving him in an awkward spot. James notices Liam's hesitation and clarifies his intentions, assuring Liam that his excitement stems from genuine admiration for Liam's achievements. He further reassures Liam that his accomplishments have cemented his place in the noble family. However, James reveals the source of his curiosity. Princess Scarlett sent Liam's family a reward for defeating the dragon without consulting the king. What's more, witnesses claim the great dragon fiend turned into a blinding light and entered Liam's body. Based on this, James assumes that Liam must have formed a contract with the dragon fiend, gaining the ability to use holy magic. Liam, who has already accepted hush money from Princess Scarlett to keep the details secret, wants to come up with a convincing lie. Unfortunately, his lack of creativity gets the better of him, and he spills the truth without any damn pressure. Embarrassed, Liam admits that he has learned a few holy spells and mentally apologizes to Princess Scarlett for being such a terrible secret keeper. James, however, is thrilled by Liam's honesty and asks him to demonstrate the spells he has learned, as it would give him a better understanding of Liam's talents. So Liam complies and uses a holy spell called All Clear on James, explaining that it removes all status ailments, including poison and petrification. The effects are immediate. James feels the magic's purity and remarks that it's no wonder holy magic is known as the magic of the gods. To give Liam a deeper understanding of its divine reputation, James begins to recount the legendary story of the War of the Three Great Dragons. In this ancient war, three majestic dragons waged a relentless battle for survival. One fateful day, the war abruptly ended with one dragon triumphing over the others. Legends say its victory was due to someone wielding holy magic on its behalf. The tale goes on to describe how the victorious dragon formed a bond with a human. Together, they harnessed holy magic to establish a nation, none other than the one Liam now peacefully calls home. While many might assume the dragon married the human and had children, James has a different perspective. He theorizes that the dragon was absorbed by the human, just as Liam absorbed the dragon fiend Raiden and became one with it. This parallel makes it seem like Liam is recreating the very legend behind their nation's founding, which deeply worries James, not just for Liam's sake, but for his entire family. If Raiden truly is one of the three great dragons that entered a deep slumber after parting with its chosen human, it would mean the Hamilton family sealed away their nation's original founder. Such an act would discredit their historic achievement, possibly leading to the family losing their noble status entirely. And that's not even the worst of it. Given how long Raiden was sealed, it might hold a grudge and plan to retaliate against the nation for its perceived betrayal. Although this isn't the truth, Liam now faces the monumental challenge of proving it. Determined, he reflects on his conversation with Raiden and reassures James that the dragon harbors no ill will. He explains that Raiden merged with him purely out of curiosity about his life. Satisfied with this explanation, James concludes that Liam may very well be their nation's savior. With that, James allows Liam to leave. Liam, eager to clear his mind, heads into town, where he soon runs into his two loyal familiars, Asuna and Jody. Then Asuna suddenly grabs Liam's hand and pulls him away from the bustling crowd before anyone can notice him. Liam confusedly asks what the hell is going on, so Asuna explains that word of his great achievement has spread, and now every adventurer in town wants to join his party. She hands him an extensive list of applicants, leaving him with the daunting task of choosing their next teammate. Later, Liam returns home and is greeted by the maid, who informs him that he has received hundreds of marriage proposals. But when he barely glances at one, his older brother Bruno shows up, insisting that Liam marry the girl he has personally chosen for him. However, Bruno is more curious about Liam's latest feats, wondering why even high-ranking nobles are so eager to align themselves with their family through marriage. Sticking to his promise to Princess Scarlett, Liam carefully avoids revealing that he absorbed the dragon, and with his best poker face, he prays Bruno drops the subject. That afternoon, Liam takes Asuna and Jody into the woods. There he uses his Otherworld spell to transport them to a new dimension, proudly revealing a house he built entirely by himself. He demonstrates his mastery of the spell as he shows them around. Then, to enhance the natural feel of the environment, Liam summons a low-level dark spirit to create darkness and simulate night. He also summons the fire spirit Salamander to light the fireplace. When Jody comments that the space is still too dark, pointing out that the dark spirit should be able to adjust the level of darkness. However, Liam realizes the spirit isn't yet capable of that. Determined to fix this, he decides to level up the dark spirit into a mid-level version and binds it as his familiar, allowing it to evolve. Now the dark spirit can control the lighting perfectly, enveloping the space with a more natural ambience. Using his ring, which doubles as a magic spell storage device, Liam absorbs the dark spirit's abilities, learning how to summon mid-level spirits. Building on this progress, he upgrades his salamander spirit to a mid-level version as well. Then, using the same method, Liam upgrades his other familiars, storing their summoning spells in his ring and mastering them all at once. Overjoyed with his progress, Liam can't wait to explore these newly mastered spells. His passion for magic drives him forward, and with Raiden's request in mind, he prepares for the next stage of his journey in the woods. Shortly after, Raiden calls on Liam to summon his child. Using the summoning spell he had been practicing, Liam manages to summon a young dragon. Surprisingly, the dragon leads him to a hidden fairy village where the pixies are happily playing. However, their joy quickly turns to fear when they spot a dirty human and they scatter in panic. The pixies only stop fleeing when he calls out that he was sent by Raiden. As proof, he lifts the young dragon for them to see, so the pixies recognize the dragon and believe him. Liam then explains that he was sent to protect them since they've long been victims of greedy humans hunting their wings for profit. Raiden had previously shielded them with a magical barrier, but now he wishes for Liam to take over that duty. To start, Liam casts a contract spell on one of the pixies and names her Reina. The spell transforms the tiny pixie into a grown-up elf. The other pixies are amazed, and even Raiden seems surprised by this unexpected evolution. He informs Liam that naming magical creatures can often trigger their growth into more advanced forms. Witnessing Reina's transformation, the other pixies eagerly beg Liam to name them too. Then, without wasting any time, Liam names all the pixies, resulting in a series of similar evolutions. Overwhelmed with gratitude, the newly transformed elves thank him profusely and even declare their loyalty and love for him. Wanting to help him as his familiars, the elves ask what they can do, so Liam cluelessly instructs them to build a village where they can live and thrive. He then appoints Reina, the first pixie he evolved, as the village chief, and she enthusiastically accepts the role. Then, while the elves busy themselves figuring out how to construct homes, Liam, drained from all the excitement, decides to explore. He soon senses a strong magical energy emanating from the woods. Following it, he stumbles upon a massive tree bearing a glowing fruit. Reina, having followed him, explains that the fruit is a concentrated gathering of magic power the pixies have been storing over the years. At that moment, the dragon urges Liam to eat the fruit, and Reina agrees. And without hesitation, Liam cuts it down and takes a bite. Then immediately his body begins to glow and feels his power grow exponentially. To test this, he fires a few magic missiles, marveling at their enhanced strength. Satisfied with his enhanced abilities, Liam leaves the village. The next day, Liam returns to check on the progress of the elves and is immediately disappointed by their abysmal building skills. Their so-called house looks like a sad pile of sticks and leaves thrown together by a child. In their defense, none of them ever took an engineering class. As Liam stands there pondering the disaster, a loud scream echoes from the distance. Rushing toward the sound, they discover a group of scruffy bandits who have captured one of the elves. Upon seeing Liam, the bandits mistakenly assume he's just a harmless kid, so one of them confidently charges at him, but Liam effortlessly blasts the fool into oblivion with his magic missiles. The rest of the bandits, not learning from their buddy's mistake, charge in too. But this time Liam summons his duplicate, and together they rain down magical destruction, wiping out the bandits in no time. The elves are thrilled by Liam's overwhelming power, but he's more concerned about their safety. Realizing the area is too dangerous, he uses his Another World spell to peer into the alternate dimension. Initially, he worries it won't be big enough to house the elves, but thanks to the boost he received from the magic power fruit, the dimension is much larger than he expected. So Liam quickly urges the elves to enter the portal, transporting them to safety. Once they arrive at their new home, the elves are awestruck by how quickly they traveled. Liam explains that this land belongs to him and that it will keep them safe from bandits. Overwhelmed by his kindness, the elves drop to their knees, pleading for him to become their leader. Some even suggest making him their king. Embarrassed and feeling unworthy of the title, Liam settles for leader, thinking it's a lot less pressure. Later, Liam treats the elves to bowls of ramen while practicing the high-level holy magic Raiden had gifted him. And after 4 grueling days of trial and error, he finally masters the spell. Eager to test it, he focuses on a location, places his duplicate there, and prepares to teleport everyone at once. Gathering the girls, he activates the spell, and in an instant, they find themselves in a new location. Their destination is revealed to be a mysterious place called the Sealed Lands. Then, while the girls marvel at the beautiful and eerie landscape, Liam excitedly talks about how he wants to perfect the spell even further, dreaming of teleporting anywhere he desires with ease. Just then, Liam steps forward, stretches out his hand, and breaks the seal on the land, revealing a more vibrant and breathtaking view. The elves are thrilled by the transformation, but before they can settle here, they face the issue of water. To resolve this, Liam summons a water spirit and asks for help in finding a water source. And with her assistance, he quickly locates a suitable spot and thanks her for the help. With this, the elves' accommodation problem is almost resolved, and Liam feels a sense of accomplishment. He then spends the next few days training in the woods to shorten the casting time for his teleport spell. And after many trials and errors, he finally achieves success, and his excitement is boundless. Later, Liam prepares to leave the village and entrusts the young dragons to watch over the elves while he is gone. And by using his newly improved spell, Liam teleports to Princess Scarlet's palace. The princess then asks if Raiden has told him anything about a promised land. Liam denies it but mentions discovering a sealed land which piques her interest. She requests to see it, but Liam asks for a favor first. Later, Scarlet introduces Golak, the royal court engineer. Using a familiar contract, Liam creates a copy of Golak to assist with the elves' village construction. Once this is done, Liam takes Scarlet and the copy to the sealed land. And upon seeing it, Scarlet is amazed, believing it might truly be the promised land of legend. To test her theory, Scarlet produces an ancient ring. And when Liam touches it, the entire land shimmers with power and begins to float. The princess is awestruck by the sight, and her voice begins trembling as she bows deeply before Liam, addressing him as the master of the promised land. And she expresses her desire to join him in building a new nation on this land. And all that shit makes Liam feel like a surreal dream, but the gravity of the situation quickly sinks in because he realizes that his responsibilities are only beginning. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to not miss the next part.